Welcome back to another episode of our Cannabis Community Insider. We have a great guest all the way from Canada, actually. We have John Ziemanski with us from Coastal Resource Mapping, and he's going to tell us about some cutting-edge technology with personalized cannabis data mapping. And what on earth is all this about? And something called AGINTEL as well. I'm very curious, John, to hear from you and find out, what it is you actually do and what the service is and this technology that we have.
Well, thanks for having me, Penelope. It's great to be here. AGINTEL is really a software as a service that is serving the cannabis and hemp industry. Coastal Resource Mapping, the parent company, saw a need to help licensed producers manage their crops. We know the tasks at hand, how labor intensive it is, especially in these small and large fields that they do have. This is something that we've done for the last 20 years in managing large spatial data sets. And what the technology is that we're able to get an overview through imagery and actually analyze that imagery and produce analytics through a secure dashboard website that they are able to see an overview of their crops with every scan, which we normally schedule once a week. And then as the season goes on, they can see through the analytics how their crop grows over time. And then we produce those analytics and reports that they can show to their stakeholders.
Oh, now what sort of, exact information are you gathering? And how do you gather this information?
Well, some examples of the analytics would include a plant count, a description of the plant, and that being the plant size and height. We produce a health report as well. And we also produce provide a tab that gives the licensed producer some financial guidance on their crop. Based on the different types of strains that they have, we give them some tools that allow them to forecast the revenue based on health, how their crop or what they can expect on their crop by the end of the year. We also provide a tab that allows them to work with the data using a cell phone or a tablet and communicate with the dashboard. They can collect information right on at the field, push it up to the cloud, and see it updated live, so that management can see this information almost on a live basis.
Oh, that's amazing. I mean, I wasn't kidding when I said cutting edge technology. This is pretty instant then. And all this, and you're doing this, you can do this just weekly. People are getting reports from their actual fields.
That's right. As I said, we schedule visits once a week or more frequent if the LP requests it. But if they can see on a weekly basis an update on the status of the health of their property, of their plants. And then on an as-need basis, like there could be something that's indicated from the health, an area of the field that's not doing so well. And it would be very obvious on the map. So that basically the dashboard has got analytics, but a corresponding map beside it that's color-coded based on health. A red could indicate that there's some stressed plants.
Wow.
They can take their instruments, their tool, their phone basically. They take their data with them out to that location, and they can do a personal investigation of what's going on, take some notes, add that information into their phone, and it gets synchronized to the cloud so that the management or stakeholders can see what's going on. They can take pictures, that gets uploaded as well to verify what's going on in that location.
Now you can do this, obviously cannabis or hemp, anybody that's in this industry. But, let's back up, and I don't have to pretend that I don't understand or know about this, because this is completely new to me. So how are you getting this? These are visuals. So how are we gathering this data exactly?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So through photogrammetry, which is a technique of gathering a whole bunch of images from a drone, It gets stitched together. So we use two different layers of information. One is a color layer, a whole bunch of pictures that basically get stitched together, and it's called an orthophoto, a color orthophoto. And our algorithm studies this color image of the property, and then we're able to, from this information, count plants, provide all this size and height information. We use another payload that gives us an indication of health. And all this is in real space, real location. So that allows them to use the GPS on their phone to take that information and walk to that precise location in the field to further study in the field what they're seeing on the dashboard.
Oh, I'm just overwhelmed at how much information you can gather that way. Now,
as you can imagine, sorry, I should also elaborate. So the real value here is to allow the management team to, whether they're small or large, it doesn't matter. You could be a 10-acre property, or you could be a 200-acre hemp licensed producer. We can cover virtually any size. And it comes down to the different types of drones that we would use to cover such a large area in a short period of time. But to be able to get a snapshot of the property, and that's what we learned over the last couple of years. It's so labor intensive, and they're dealing with so much, all growing at the same time. How do you manage all the issues, whether it's water related, disease related? You could have 500,000 plants out there. How do you manage them all? Well, the difference with our software and with others is that we give them analytics on a per plant basis. Even if it's 500,000 plants out there, you get a report on 500,000 plants.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way, a person or a team could cover that ground. So, I mean, you've just answered, exactly why this is, absolutely necessary if you're looking at projections as well. And like you said, how things are going and reporting back to your stakeholders. But now how do you get out to different locations? How do you serve all over? I mean, this sounds like you could be could be just worldwide, but how does that work?
Yeah. Well, there actually exists a network of drone pilots out there in Canada and in the US, and are actually around the world. We're talking to people in Latin America, where things are starting to move in Mexico. So there's drone pilots all over the world. And what we do is we vet a pilot in a particular area. And we usually kind of use a hub and spoke type model, where one drone pilot would manage 5 or 6 LPs in one area. And then we set up a schedule for them, and they just go around and visit each site and on their schedule. It's sort of weather related type of flying that we do. So we adjust their schedule accordingly, but basically we set up a network of drone pilots, and they communicate all that data that they gather to our central cloud location where all the processing happens.
Okay, so that makes sense. So I was trying to picture how that could work. Can you give me some examples of, I don't know if this has been an issue with anyone. Have you found some issues that have really helped, some farms? I don't know if anybody had any problems that you were, able to abate, using this technology.
No, absolutely. I mean, one of the easier ones is just a water problem, or plants that are either nutrient deficient or stressed because of water. Typically, an LP would have an irrigation system that's laid out across their property, or have some sort of irrigation plan. We can pick up from the health data or the imagery that really gives a good indication of health is that we can send out people out to the field and field validate what we're seeing from our imagery, that there is could be a water related or just a nutrient deficient issue, and that shows up quite readily in our imagery. Another thing too is because there could be so many plants, there could be 500,000 plants, one could actually die and wither. We'll be able to pick up when a plant goes missing. And actually that has happened too, that there's been some where plants get pulled and it hasn't been recorded our imagery will pick up there's a plant missing, and they can tell right away whether, have they done their due diligence and recorded a plant that has been culled or pulled for whatever reason. One of the biggest reasons would be because of a male showing up. A male plant is not good in the cannabis field. And that is another thing we can talk about. But there are certain things that we look for, and a missing plant is one. A stressed plant is another. A diseased plant like bud rot is another one that we're actually working on, that we can identify automatically, and we're very confident that we'll have our algorithm developed later this summer to automatically determine or detect bud rot and a few other species diseases as well.
That is amazing that you can get that specific on one plant out there with thousands of them. That just blows my mind.
Yeah, it's like I say, the technology is evolving constantly, but the image detection, or facial recognition, you've probably heard of that sort of technology. It's along the same sort of lines. Although there's multiple bits of information that go into our model, but the technology is evolving very, very fast. And but it's being able to handle large data sets that I think sort of sets us apart a little bit, where we've done this for a while and we're able to efficiently do that and get the report back up to the client in short order, usually within a day.
Now, I think you said that before we started the show, that this with the AGINTEL was fairly new for you under the coastal resource, the mapping.
Yes. Yeah. We've been using the same sort of data analytics on other resource sectors. So coastal resource mapping started over 20 years ago, and we've been working in the forest industry, the mining industry. We work in fisheries, and so we do a lot of image analysis, big data analysis. We work with the federal government and our local, state, and provincial governments. So again, it comes down to our comfort level with large data sets and working with people remotely. So all the pieces were there together. And then when we sort of really dove into the precision agriculture, and especially cannabis and hemp, when there's a lot on the line, there's a lot on the line with a lot of other different agriculture sectors, but it's a high value plant. And if we can save 1 or 2 plants a month, on a 500,000 plant farm, it pays for itself. The service pays for itself.
Yeah, I love to point that fact out, that for other industries that are out there, that you saw a need and opening a hole in this cannabis and hemp industry, and so that you can fill that as an ancillary business. That might have not been a product that you touched before, but you found that in the market, and I love how that can fit in. You slide over from one and you saw that hole in there. And that, even especially when I think of it as, I work a lot on the medical side. So I see these plants as extremely important too. Although I appreciate so much the industrial side, and we all get very excited thinking about how the infrastructure is going to, build. And this is only going to get larger. And I don't know. I feel that we're taking a while to catch up in the United States to Canada. Kind of look up to you guys in the industrial side, from what I understand and knowledge, for the large scale farming. So, as our infrastructure grows, I think it's just going to be a huge, huge industry and just continue. So this sounds like something very, very invaluable to have. I'm curious, how small of a client do you usually work with, on what scale? I know obviously you can go up to any size large, but on the small side, where would you start?
Probably around, I think about 7,500 acres, or 7,500 acres. No, that's not true. About the 25 acres or so, or 15. But when it gets really small, they usually do a very good job of doing it manually. And when they have a small number of plants, they are able to sort of manually walk the fields. And that's what we found last year in our pilot project. Ours was a 30-acre piece of property, and it was very obvious that there was some support required on the technology side.
Yeah, I imagine the farm would know, hey, this is getting to the point
Yeah.
where we're just losing, we're not seeing, what we need to be seeing, and we can't get to the plants. So
And that's the biggest advantage, is that we're able to really support the field staff that's out there. And it's not really meant to replace staff. It's meant to really focus the staff into areas that really need it. We're not trying to replace bodies, although, maybe there might be one or two out of about 12 or 15 field staff, but it's really to focus their energy on high priority areas.
well, you kind of cued off on mentioning male plants. So, I mean, this sounds like something that could be devastating if you are growing for, the female side and not doing seeds. Don't tell me how that, how your technology helps with that.
So we're currently right now on a research project with every farm that we work with. We talk to them about engaging in a research and development project that we do with every farm. And like I said, this is a personalized project with every farm we do business with, because our algorithm learns about their farm, their conditions. Like a farm in California is going to be different than a farm in Colorado. So our algorithm learns their farm. And one of the things that we're studying too is the nature of how the cannabis plant can change from a female to a male plant, which would then propagate all the female plants around them into males, which then destroys the value of the cannabis plant for the flowering. And what is a huge priority is to identify a male as soon as possible. And we're currently engaging with all our clients a research project, and we share all our information that shows them how we can identify a male as soon as it's evident. So it's something that we're working on. We worked on last year, and we're continuing to work on this year. It's probably the number one ask we get. Can you identify male plants in the field? Well, we've made some great progress last year, and we're going to continue that research with every client that we have. And no extra charge. We would just want to let them know that they are going to be part of it, and we share all our results with them. So hopefully we can get into that 90% accuracy, 95% accuracy of being able to identify them, so that we can, as soon as it's identified, they send a worker out in the field. They know exact location of where it is in the field, and it gets pulled and replaced with a healthy female.
Oh, that would be amazing. To be able to do that, and just the GPS, and you can just send people out there. And as you said, is it like an app on your phone that they have as well to?
That's right. It's a free app that you load up on your phone or tablet. You basically download the information that you see on the dashboard, and then you can query to which plant you need to go to, and you just it's like following a GPS Google map on cars. You just walk to that location, identify the plant, and then you can. And it's really good from a data management standpoint, is that you can take pictures, upload that to the database, and you have a record of what's going on in the field. And if it needs to be pulled, it's identified as pulled. You have a picture of it before it was pulled. And it's a nice record keeping system that is required by government, by law. You need to account for every plant. And that's another one of the advantages. We have a digital record of every plant that goes out there. And it's something that the state and provincial governments up here require, that you keep track of every plant. If it gets pulled, they need to know what happened to that plant and why.
See, is there any specific data that you've either been asked to collect that was unique to you, or you hadn't thought of, or is there any data that you collect that perhaps somebody wouldn't think of right off the top of their head? I mean, that you have available?
Well, we work with every farm, and it's actually funny. With every master grower who knows the actual plant health and how to grow their fields intimately, we have conversations with them, and we customize the database so that they can collect information that they want to see analytics on. I mean, we try to stick within a certain type of structure on the analytics on the dashboard, but a lot of them want to see a sort of a growth pattern, and it could be a growth pattern by strain. And those are some of the analytics that if they look at their field, they can actually start slicing up the database and show me the strain over the last month, 2 months. How has it grown compared to another strain in a different area of the field? So then a lot of them are testing different seed types, different strains. And from this information, they can say, well, for next year, we're not going to go with this strain. We're going to go with this because of the different growth patterns that we're seeing. And it might actually help them locate these plants in a certain field because of certain environmental conditions, soil types, what have you.
Oh, okay. So, and there's no, this works. It doesn't matter what they're growing for, if it's fiber, if it's seed, if it was medicine. So any type of plant, right? I mean, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else that you'd like to, share to the industries? We love to connect, as we meet people on either side, business to business. So, this is your opportunity.
Well, what we learned last year is we were a great help to this the farm that we did our pilot project on, and it sort of also reinforced what we learned from our contact in California. There's so much work and it's so labor intensive. To be able to get a snapshot of your farm and see the analytics, there is cost savings. We're seeing cost savings of 50% on labor. I know down in the States, there's a certain type of communication and data that has to be presented to the local governments. That is already part of our analytics. Size of the canopy that you are growing. Those are analytics that we can pass on and connect and help you with the regulations. So we really help you with the workload, help you with the regulations, and it gives you a digital record of how your field went that year. And so you can learn from it. It's basically a cookbook of how you can grow your successful farm from year to year.
Oh, I love it. That's a great analogy. And, I'm really blown away with how much data that you can collect and how absolutely necessary it is, and cost savings too, so how would people reach you, tell them?
Well, we have a website, agintel.ca. So that's www.ag-intel.ca. We have contact information there that you can reach out to us, and we'd be more than happy to give you a demo of the software so you get a real good indication or a feel for how it works. And another thing that I feel that we really separates us from some of the other people that are sort of in the precision agriculture industry is that we take care of everything from the data collection right to the final report. And our customer service is second to none. We don't just show up and forget about you. Our pilots are local. You can contact and talk to them if there's any issues with how the data is collected. And we have customer service here that's available all the time. That's part of our service, is that we're just a phone call away. So I think the personal service that we provide every client separates us a lot from the other people that are doing a similar type of precision agriculture in different industries. So I think there's a few things that I think we can help LPs with.
Yes. Well, and you're definitely experienced in the industry itself. So this just reaching out into this cannabis space. So, well, thank you so much, John. And we will definitely work with you to connect you with our community and other businesses. And absolutely phenomenal what you can do. So,
Thank
all
you,
right.
Penelope. Thanks for having me.
Yes, absolutely. All right. We'll see you next time on the next episode. And thank you for watching.